This is Fictional Problems, the podcast where we discuss all things writing, in association with Speculative Fiction Ireland. On today's episode, we're tackling editing, the brutal and beautiful process of writing, rewriting some more, until you turn that first draft into something worth sharing. Join us. And welcome back to Fictional Problems, the podcast where we discuss all things writing with myself, Gary J. Martin,
and myself, Eivor McNevin.
Yes, indeed. Now, I did come up with an extremely clever, witty, and funny opening to this episode, but I had to edit it out.
Yeah, we laughed and cried.
Yeah. So editing. Yeah, it's a very important to edit. I mean, some of the jokes I had come up with for this intro weren't quite appropriate for an actual audience to hear, other than just ourselves in this studio.
This is true. In this wonderful studio.
Yeah. So I had to edit that.
Yeah.
And that brings us to what we're going to talk about on this episode: is the aspects of editing.
Yes. The horrible aspects of editing.
Please stay tuned.
Yeah. So,
because it might be one of the things about writing.
We should start every episode going, please stay tuned. Please.
Please hang in there.
Please.
Yeah, it might be one of the aspects of writing that is the least fun.
Yes,
especially when you're creating worlds and characters and dynamic action, and your story's going great, and all these brilliant things are happening, and you're loving where it's going. Everything's building up is great, and then you're like, okay, now I have to go through this and line edit, section edit, and manuscript edit.
And then there is lots of different types of editing. Simply getting the grammar right, or simply getting it's like, or because we talked previously about writing with an accent. That in itself is not correct grammar, but it's intentionally correct grammar. But then you have to make sure that that character is consistent in how they're using. So how they're using their terms, and if you suddenly start have a character speaking with a southern drawl, then that has to continue every time that character is there. Or it's like, oh, that character actually sounds like they're talking with a more effete English accent. Oh, it's clearly they're not the same person.
Well, what if we kind of if we start broad and bring it down?
Sure.
So if we start with like the likes of story edit. So say you're talking about, you have an entire passage that you write, and you just have to get rid of it because it's not serving the purpose of the novel. Or even worse, I suppose, if your manuscript is running into 200,000 words. If only.
No. I the second Parliament book, I think was just shy of 200,000.
Wow.
And the third Parliament book I'm going to have to hack into because it's currently sitting at 175,000, and it's 2/3, or is it a third of the way through?
So any writers listening to this will know terms of it's like the different measurements. How many yards in a foot?
This is true.
How many pages in a 200,000 word?
Well, it's approximately 300 words per page.
Okay.
So it's it was a 600-page book. So that's 100. So that's a minimum of about 180,000.
Yeah, about 600 pages.
Am I getting that right? Yeah.
There.
So and say 300 would be this on the smaller end. Let's say if you're doing a lot of description or narrative work, then that's going to swell to 360, 390.
Thankfully, we are writing in genres where it tends to lean in the longer form of things, like on average around 120,000 words, which are 400 pages.
That would be
something like that. Is like the average for fantasy. I know. I presume science fiction is
for the more epic stuff.
It's around that. But what happens then when you are just taken away with your story? You're in the zone. you burst past the, let's say, average word count, and you're flying through up to your 600 pages.
And you're desperately trying to find your drop the mic moment.
Yeah. Drop the landing gear even. So bring the plane down.
Exactly. Bring it in for a successful. That alone can be a struggle.
Yeah.
That, because especially when you're writing long form, especially when you're writing something that like take Parliament for instance. Parliament Crow started off about 20 years ago as a TV show spec.
Yeah.
I wrote the double episode pilot back when things had double episode pilots. And then I planned out 105 episodes across a 5-year season and penned at least a few paragraphs on 96, 97 of those episodes. Now, some of them were far more drawn out.
Yeah.
The current version of Parliament of Crow, this is when I get to the end of book 3/4, will be the end of season 1.
Okay.
And it is
a million words.
It is, and it's a thin down, because I had 21 episodes planned for the first episode for the first season, and
sizable.
It will turn out to be 9, 5. It turned out to be 14 episodes, 14 essentially novella episodes.
Okay.
For the first season. I think, but in that regard, I know where I'm ending. I have my drop moment planned, but it's still a matter. But you have to stop the individual. Like, I know the full length of it. I know where that 14 episodes can essentially end.
Okay.
But where do I put the breaks? Where do I go? Episode break. It's an episode break, or being able to go, right, okay, fuck it, I'm going to publish at this point.
Yeah.
And go, right, get something out so at least the readers can see the next installment.
So story editing comes in where you are trying to, I suppose, parcel it.
Yes.
Into bite-sized pieces, not bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, and 100,000 word pieces. Yeah, so that it is, and that each book functions on its own.
Yeah. So it's a series of standalone.
Well, no, that each of the characters has got a start, middle, and end. There is a path for all of them. That obviously not necessarily, because you don't necessarily need character development in each character. You can have character reveal, as in the character was always this person, and in this book it revealed that person, or they're just the stalwart, the always the same, the reliable, and then you want to use that person. You're going to break up that person in the following book, so there's a all those different trends of what you're introducing, what you introduced previously, and what you're using of that introduction in this one, and then what you want to leave for the next one. Like, say, I'll use Babylon 5 as a reference because I use Babylon 5 as a
I'm a fan of Babylon 5.
I've been rewatching it again. It's my yearly rewatch. And like, say, the 14th episode of that has, for the first season, has Babylon Squared, where they introduced the idea of the fourth Babylon station, the previous one. That isn't resolved. Babylon 4. That isn't resolved until the 15th and 16th episodes of season 3, 2 years later.
Okay.
And this is back when they had 21 episode runs, 22 episode runs, should I say. So that was something that was introduced, say, book 1, wasn't used in book 2, and then was resolved in book 3.
Yeah, okay.
So you have
that does happen.
Oh, and series a lot. Yes, but the idea that you're holding on to stuff that will be revealed later, that so then you have in book 2 things that will be introduced, and then some of them that would paid off in book 3, and some of them would paid off in book 4. So you end up having this weird biorhythm thing of things being introduced, rising up, they're crescendo, and then they're falling off.
And then other things are just, I'm just going to leave it up there.
Exactly.
I'm going to leave it hanging.
And occasionally a character will make a reference of, where is that person? Where is that person? Should that person be here?
Yeah, exactly.
So from a especially when writing kind of such a long form stuff, that like with Quantum Anti, I know where it's going. I know the ending for Quantum Anti. In fact, I've already started mapping out essentially the European story of Quantum Anti.
Okay.
Which happens like 50, 80 years after the end. I know where Parliament ends.
And hopefully it won't be like a season 3, say, Sons of Anarchy, where they go to Ireland.
Oh yeah,
And all the wheels,
the troubles. Yeah.
all the wheels come off. Now,
Yeah, hopefully not.
inside the European stuff.
Yeah, and how Belfast always looks strange. It looks like Northern California.
Yeah.
So from a storytelling point of view, I think that isn't so much struggle. When you suggested starting wide and going in, that isn't so much struggle because I tend to have an idea of where I want to be.
Yeah.
And then there's motion. I mean, motion in the ocean. There is changes that happen on that path, but ultimately, I then bring it back down to that one point because that is my goal.
Yeah. Well, I know certainly with Night at Elgara, I mean, I was writing it for quite a while, and it was all, it was learning the skill. It was kind of seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. But in the process of learning how to write, that way, and learning how to write long form novel, I tended to overwrite quite a lot. And if there was I know for a fact, I think the manuscript as edited was in and around 130,000, maybe slightly under that, maybe 127. I think when it was submitted, it was around 165,000, maybe 170.
That's a lot of left on the floor.
Yeah, but perfectly left.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Was like the editor did an excellent job in trimming the fat, but there was a lot that I had put on it. There was a lot of not padding at the time and writing it. It was a case of, well, this bit's necessary, and I could go really deep into the backstory of this insignificant character that plays no part in the rest. It was just. As I was writing it, it was a case of, okay, we'll explore this area, we'll go down this rabbit hole, we'll do this, and it just was adding and adding and adding to the word count unnecessarily. Like there was, I think, an entire battle that had no relevance to the wider plot. It was just like an offshoot thing that was happening, and then there was all kinds of like flashbacks that I had, this kind of thing, and it was so. It needed to go.
Right.
It absolutely needed to go. And that's, I suppose, the value of such a good editor.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I guess that editing process is we're getting deeper.
Yeah.
So we're moving away from just so once you've got the story done, once you actually have got the manuscript done, which is an incredibly important point. Like I think that's one thing that I agree with. There's numerous, like I tend to read writing advice and try and think of every way to break it. That doesn't. I think it was Elmore Leonard. I think his first piece of writing advice is never open with the weather, and because in his mind you don't want to remind people of basically a boring thing.
Yeah.
But if you're writing about the greatest storm ever, and saying it was calm outside, you're setting it up, so I like breaking the rules, or like taking those rules and bringing the one rule that I think is
that's storycraft as well. That's like foreshadowing.
Absolutely,
like,
yes.
But the economy of what will happen.
Yeah, but it's defying that rule.
Yeah,
one rule that I think that, or one advisory that I think is universally good is finish.
Mm-hmm.
Get to the end, right? Finish, right? And right. Get to the end, even if you don't have your mic drop mode. Actually finish. Go, right, I'm done. Put it in a drawer and then come back to it.
Yeah. Bring it home. Bring it down.
Yeah, I just go, right. I don't have the mic drop yet, but that mic drop could be in the drive home, in the shower. It'll come to you once you have sex down. I would be slightly different in the fact that I tend to edit as I go. So my hatred of editing at the end, because I'm aware of my hatred of it, is still as fiery, despite the fact I still edit as I go. Yeah. So I'm smoothing out the process.
Now that's actually a question. Is it a case of schools of thought, for example, can be write the draft, like I say, put it in a drawer, come back to it, go again. So a draft is essentially an edit.
Yes. Yeah. Each draft is an edit. Yes.
So you just get to the end, and then you go, okay, well, now I start again. with editing in mind and story, and kind of, I have more of a grounding to attack and develop different things. And then there's draft two, and okay, that's done.
Right.
And that's the school of thought. You just do draft one. At some point you do draft two. Some point you do draft 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, 13, whatever it takes.
But that's when that's someone who either is self-hating or loves editing. That they're in love with their darlings and they want to revisit them.
Mm-hmm.
But an important part of editing is killing your darlings, is taking things that and just annexing them out of the script. I can only imagine, like, the old saying about
root and branch.
Root and branch remove. But the idea of you see a movie and you think that could have lost half an hour. And actually listening to people and saying what that half an hour should be is often tells you what kind of person they are. Like, I didn't like the bit where the father and the son were having the charter. You mean the central part of the story? We didn't need a third battle scene, but you wanted to remove the heart of it.
You wanted 2 more car chases?
Oh yeah.
No, but it's interesting you say you write as you go, because I
read it as I go. I write as I go.
You write as you go, as you edit. But I would say I would follow that practice as well. So I mean, it's been quite often the case of I write a chapter, and before I even think of writing the second chapter, or we'll say a few chapters.
Get
to a certain point, maybe even up to chapter 5, and then I go, okay, I'm putting it on hold, redo 1 to 5, and then that'll inspire me 6, 7.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, okay, back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're kind of it's this mind as well to edit and write.
Yeah, and that is, I think, that a more positive way, because you're using the editing process as a fuel, to get you through the next one. And then also, especially with me, because I jump from story to story, that oftentimes I will go back and I will read what I've written and I go, ooh, that's what I was doing, and I'll launch in and I'll stop writing that, or after that chapter, or even halfway through a chapter, and then now I remember where I'm doing.
So definitely always finish on a full stop, though. Instead,
actually, that's because I would agree. But I've heard other writing advice that in order to get you back into writing, say even just from finishing at night to picking up the next day, that you leave a sentence half finished. And I could not sleep. I could not sleep if it was half finished.
I'm going to remember what you were feeling and thinking and wanting to write. Okay.
But this episode was partly inspired by the fact that I've finished my next book that will be released later. So I'm now thinking about going back into other things. And while I was doing the editing processes, I was back into the next Quantumancy book, and I know I've left a chapter half done because it's going to be an important conversation.
Yeah,
and I knew I wasn't ready to write that conversation. So it's sort of that you have to walk away. So
headspace is important.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I left some notes for myself at the end of it. So this is what I'm thinking right now. So that,
dear future Al.
Exactly. No, that's exactly it. So that that editing process of, I will go back in. I will then redo. I'll read through that previous script, edit as needed, and then hopefully I'll be in that space, because I don't want to. I could go off to write one of the other chapters, because the way that's structured, I have 3, 4 main characters, so I can jump around as I see fit. But I want this bit done.
Yeah,
I want it done well, because it's in a grand scheme of things. We talked previously about what we're artists and we're all this jazz. That sometimes I think that writing is simply just occasional good moments, and then getting to it.
Yeah,
and getting from one good moment to another good moment. And sometimes, because I think I mentioned before that one of the comments on Quantumancy was that someone said it was cliched. I established all my cliches in the first book.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into my work.
Yeah.
So we have the story, and now then you have the primary manuscript. So where we build the manuscript.
Yeah.
Now we're at the end, and this is where I fucking hate this form of editing.
Yeah, and it was going to be it occurred to me like getting to the end has often been, or like definitely for Night of Galgara anyway, it was like I think chapter 1 would have been on its 25th, 26th, 80th draft.
Yes.
Chapter 34 was maybe on its 9th, 10th.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's like, and that was just the process that is like a little Jenga tower, except you can kind of just move the blocks to keep them as they go. As you build a tower, you make sure that everything's squaring up and trying your best to.
Yeah, absolutely. Ultimately, it's the drafting process. I think again, maybe it was Neil Gaiman who said that the finished product, the reader should think it was meant to be this way all along.
I guess. Yeah.
And it is the editing process where, like, it's at that point where you've finished the manuscript, you've left it in the drawer for a time, you've picked it back up, you're now looking through it, you go back through your old notes.
Relatively fresh eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. That you read through your old notes, you look at what was intended, and now you look at what you actually have.
Yeah.
And then you find all the fucking mistakes.
Yeah.
And it is nothing but mistakes. And it is heart crunching. It's like,
what do you mean as expected?
Yeah.
Oh, well, as expected.
No, that
it's not as expected.
No. But maybe it was. maybe I was an odd mood that day. You never know.
How could something be as expected? It's as expected.
I'm sorry. I'm going to fucking spend time. I'm going to tell you how it's as expected. It's like, yes, when I have grammar and spelling and all that. So what I tend to do is I put there's a program called Speechify.
Mm-hmm.
I put the manuscript in Speechify, hit play, and then listen to it back out.
Oh, perfect.
And one of the those do is I also listen to basically audiobooks, especially as I'll convert a text into an audiobook via this. So I'll be listening to the same voice, same artificial voice for both someone else's work and my own, so that I'm kind of it's a little help that rather than it being a distinctive voice for my work and someone else's, it's just I try to not listen. It's just it's horrible to listen back to your own words. I can't take it. It's always been the case that I just whenever I
is this why I edit the podcast?
You don't
want to listen to it.
I pity Bob. I pity you having listened to me talk about this.
God.
It is. It is. Like I make deals with myself of like I went through last week doing the airing process. I was like, okay, I'll do 2 chapters a night.
Mm-hmm.
And I do 2 chapters a night. I get pizza and garlic bread tomorrow.
Promise.
I promise myself.
Yeah.
I deal with myself to get me through because.
It's like the old waste paper basket. If I get this in,
exactly. But the corollary to it is, shouldn't I be enjoying it?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. Yes and no. There's parts where I enjoy. There's parts, as I was saying about the moments where there are certain lines where or certain moments of that your story reaches a moment or a crescendo of just that's what you wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's it's often not a battle. It's often not the grandeur that would be, say, special effects in a movie.
Yeah,
it's often the personal moments, and when you get that moment and you go, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And then you have to edit around it because sometimes you have to kill your darlings. Sometimes you want to hold on because there's those moments that you go, no, that is the reason why I'm writing this thing. That the person should be killed off or whatever, but there is a difference between those that are there as in darlings, as in the people who are not who are special but not special to the book. The Tyrion, Tyrion Lannister is a darling that can't be killed off.
Yeah,
because he's so fundamental to the book, and so you wouldn't kill your darling in that regard. Those little moments.
He's great though.
Yeah, but those little moments in your own work where you go, yeah, and that is enough for me to go, okay, I'll go into third chapter tonight. It's in those conversations. It's in those, especially conversations with characters that they're going over certain plots or they're going over certain interactions, or they're people who just like I'm thinking about one of the interactions where two people who clearly don't get on. They're at each other's throats, but they have to work together.
Yeah.
And it is finding a reason for that to happen, rather than just they have to work together because the plot says.
Yeah.
Then that
there's something that we say that I've said and continuously say is it has to make sense.
Oh, yes,
it always has to make sense.
Yeah, fact doesn't have to make sense. Fiction does.
Yeah,
and it is just fine. Like with this last book, it doesn't involve time travel, which in itself is a problematic thing.
Which we discussed in episode 15.
We discussed.
Go check it out.
Yes, if you hear me kind of moaning in the background, it's because I was editing that point too, because I've been editing that one since Christmas. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
Oh no.
There is difficulties in information being passed from one character to another.
Yeah,
and it is a lot of plate spinning that because I make such a big deal about I know how to write time travel.
Yeah.
Then this is the first example of me going, this is how to write time travel. That I need to be top notch. The story needs to be as good as Primer is, function wise, and also a good read.
Yeah, just entertaining as well. Is it ever a case of do you ever paint yourself into a corner and then go, okay, I can get out of this by going back to chapter 1 and setting up something that makes this make sense now? Do you ever kind of manipulate the fabric of the universe in order to facilitate where your story goes retroactively?
No. Plot wise, no. Character wise, yes. And for example, with this, I like there's one time travel incident in this thing which resets some stuff. So basically, the first part is this is first time through. The second part is second time through, and finding a distinction between basically one character talking about the world around her, and then talking about the world around her the next time, and how those two things make sense for that character, but they have been influenced by this one time travel event.
Okay.
That required me to go back and change this, and then I changed the second thing. And then
a few mental gymnastics.
Exactly. There was a few adjustments on both sides to make sure that because again, conversations with characters.
Which is fine, because that's the way it was always meant to be.
Yeah.
As far as anything is concerned.
Exactly. The thing is, it is the final result.
Yeah.
Because it isn't finished until you have that. Until you go, right, done. I've finished off the Library of Congress. Here's my copyright number. Until I spent that $65 on copywriting it, it's still It's still an open thing. Actually,
it's magical.
Because I did a thing. So I basically went, right, I've written every book ends with Finn, F-I-N. I wrote Finn, saved it, went, done. Closed the Word document, and I immediately opened back up, went to a chapter, changed the word, saved, closed it. And then I'm kind of like, shit, I forgot to do that. I forgot something. It was just one word. I was like, fuck. I can't remember the word I changed, but I know I had to change one word, and it was only one word. It was just this. That is, it really. It doesn't harm my interest in writing, but it does pause it for a time. Like I finished this up a couple of days ago, and I haven't written anything since. And there's plenty of things that I could be writing.
Yeah, taking a mental break though.
Instead I actually logged on to work, and I've actually done work rather than writing work, and I'm nice to catch up on stuff that I have to do. So I'm not giving my brain a rest, as I'm still doing. I'm one could say I'm a data scientist by trade.
But even a bit of distance from
writing, yes.
A bit of distance grants perspective, I think. When you
sure.
That, and you just like you just take a step away, fill your time with whatever. It doesn't matter that it's work or nothing. It's just, but when you come back, then it's like, oh yeah, here we go again. Like this, kind of your enthusiasm that will kind of comes up a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. No, you're right. I said, like this week, most weeks I would spend at least some time writing on this. Yesterday I was at a debate about the nature of evil. Today I'm doing this. Tomorrow I'm having pizza and garlic bread.
Because you hit your chapter goals?
because
you fulfilled that deal.
because I deserve it.
So that's a no.
And no, I'm falling behind
You
because
reneged on your deal.
I have I have reneged on my deal, but it was just I've got that done and I finished. So it's and everything is ready to go. I just have to spend an hour or two just putting it all together finally.
I mean, no one, I don't think anyone gets into writing because of their love of grammar necessarily.
Oh, sure,
unless you're writing a book on grammar.
Oh, sure, but you can love a turn of phrase.
Sure,
and that's and giving that to a character or
grammar isn't the language.
Sure, but
necessary.
You can find I find that in almost in a lyrical way or in a kind of poetic way. Like I like the old phrase, we campaign in poetry, we govern in prose. And that is two sides of like when I'm writing and I'm writing, I think well, when it's flowing out of you.
Yeah,
that's in my mind is that's poetry. And I think I've mentioned before that like if I have a regret is I don't play an instrument. And indeed I've talked before about writing songs for all the every chapter in Quantimancy is led by a song. And they all have versions, some versions like that. Instead of pinball wizard, it's blackballed wizard. As they each of them take have a musical element to it. Indeed, this book I've just finished, the magic is referred to as keys.
Okay.
That when someone advances essentially from one level to another, they crescendo. That the main character is referred to as a virtuoso because has two keys that she can use at a high level rather than one high level and one low level. So there it is. So music is a key element of my process, even though I'm terrible I'm a terrible singer and I can't play an instrument. It is my writing is lyrical, and indeed the editing process shows that up as being it's like a dull note or as a poem note.
Yeah.
That as I'm going through it. Because some chapters just they did flow.
Like Guitar Hero when you're playing and you just hit the wrong button and the verb and you're like,
yeah. Turn my writing into Guitar Hero. You know exactly how to cut things, man.
No, I was thinking for myself.
Of course. In which case, yes, I agree. No, but some of the chapters do flow. I'm sorry, or scenes of those chapters do flow nicely, and that's the moment we're going. Because as much as I hate the editing process. And I do hate it. I mean, have I mentioned how much I hate it?
You would be an editor, right?
I would never be a fucking editor. The fun of re-encountering those moments that just made sense is like I really hope that in the future I am able to go back and not see the issues.
Yeah.
Like, I say the version that someone else sees is without that 30,000 words that from Night on Gagara.
Yeah.
Without all the pieces all the versions of the characters that I changed, adjusted. So it's again to refer to Babylon 5. There is I remember clearly there's a episode where Jamie does a commentary back when we had DVDs and DVD commentaries, and he's talking about how one character has their feet up on a table, and the table is so small that the feet almost it goes across the table and almost hits the person that they're interrogating.
Okay,
because the table was the room wasn't big enough, the table was too small, and that's the thing he remembers.
Yeah.
No one else. You might think that's a bit tight, but they're on a space station. Yeah. But no, he thinks you will remember those moments until the day he dies. So it's. Those moments will clearly, but I remember when this is wrong. I like to say, you may have a better remembrance, better memory of the full manuscript, than you do of the book that got released. And actually, this is a good question. How then do you deal with the next book and then the book after that when you think, hang on, that battle?
Oh, copy and paste. Just whatever
No,
was
no.
put out, I just pasted it in a new book.
Oh,
Just
okay. Oh, yeah, that works.
no.
Yeah, I actually that's actually no, that's another thing that you have the trash file, the
Yeah.
copy and paste out into, okay, I'll use that another time, and you never do, but I can never throw anything out.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you have ultimate, you have tons of free space.
Well, if it was a case of a bit that was cut out that I loved,
Yeah,
and again, happy it was cut out because it didn't. It was more like a bump on a log than
right.
anything else. It was a gap, or it was something that was wrong with the streamlined story. That ultimately came out. If I had something like that, yeah, I'm not gonna delete it. Definitely, like, especially electronic files.
Exactly. Yes.
There's no need to delete that stuff if you have, enough memory on your computer or memory stick.
Yeah.
But it is a case of I could revisit, especially if it's quite a substantial bit of writing. I might revisit it and kind of go, can I adapt this into a future project?
Yeah.
Can I look at this and go, oh well, that fits nicely there in the next book.
Right.
And if it does, then that's what I will do. I'll kind of move it in and say, like, okay, so this particular battle didn't work in the first book, but it makes perfect sense in line with the story that's coming in the second book. Because
Sure.
like, it slots in there like the missing jigsaw piece.
Yeah. You may have to trim it a bit.
Or change
this, the scene on the side, so or a side that wins now loses.
Yeah, it could be even scale. It could be different things you can change on it. But the writing itself, like the narrative,
It flowed well.
The movements, how the choreography of the fighting could all be perfectly workable and usable as well. So, I could take that and kind of morph it into something that's still useful.
Oh, sure. I just think that as it goes forward,
so don't delete anything, people.
Yeah, never delete anything. Be a hoarder.
Yeah.
That because as you were talking about a battle that could be reused, many years ago, I wrote a piece where it's kind of a science fiction battle happens in space. A android that's connected to one of the ships is on the planet. This planet is being invaded. Their ship gets destroyed. They are then left on the planet alone, and they essentially become the invading army takes over, and they basically become a gang boss in a cyberpunk-esque world where she's completely lost her ship body, and now she is on her own. But she is also a vastly advanced android. That's where I stopped. That battle is now sitting on my hard drive somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like, and I really enjoyed it because I remember
the characters just sitting around in the dust, kind of going, "When is he gonna get?"
Exactly, he's gonna get fed up with the things to do.
I'm so bored of sitting around here. I want to go be a crime bot.
Exactly, or what's happening outside that world? Because I know that the captain intentionally, or sorry, the ship, according to the android, the ship gets destroyed. The ship managed to escape, but they cut off contact to assimilate that they were escaped. The intention being that the invading army would find the android and then think, okay, the android would, whether it be intentional or otherwise, tell them that the ship was destroyed.
Yeah.
Thus, could happen.
That's what we call potential, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And then the android doesn't get discovered, and she hides herself in the city, in this cyberpunk city. So there is
Sorry, I meant the entire passage is potential.
Oh yeah. But
there's a lot there.
All those different bits. When am I going to get back to write that? It's one of many
after pizza.
After pizza, I grab it. But it's you're never going to get back to it. And indeed, the love of writing will push you to write something else. That you may find a point in book 2, book 3, book 4 where that battle fits in.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're flowing, like, I'm going to write it again. Or you might read it and go, okay, I'm going to take this phrase, or I'm going to take that same structure of these 3 ships, these 5 ships, and use the same structure.
Well, I have had both experiences where, like that, you go back to something, like I think you mentioned, you go back to something and go, oh my God, did I write that?
Yes, yeah.
You're like, holy shit, that's actually pretty good.
Yes, yeah.
Was that, well, it must have been a good frame of mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And equally, then you go back to something and go, oh,
Yeah.
no, this is not working.
Yeah, but yes, but maybe if you're like me, that you say the good thing that wasn't me, the bad thing that definitely was me.
Yeah, it kind of feels like I do that. Yeah, it's a case of when I'm surprised by something that just when I reread it, I'm like, oh, that's on tune there.
Yes,
it's just like
like
a tune
just those moments. Exactly. Yeah,
and yeah, I go, that wasn't me. I don't. I don't remember the mind frame I was in when I wrote that, or to get back to there.
If I could find that moment, yeah. It's like cloning yourself and wanting, or what's the Severance, where they completely separate their mental state from work and non-work. So you're not labored by or belabored by your work life. It's just you can be completely the writer person.
Yeah.
So yeah, yes, 100%. It's a lovely moment when it happens, and the positive.
Yeah,
but it is finding those moments often.
Yeah, and it isn't conversely as bad in the negative when you come on, because when you find those really nice spots that you reread, and you just go, that's brilliant. That is a massively positive thing. That's like, I can achieve that level. But when you find something that doesn't work necessarily, you're just like, okay, I can just scrap this and do it again. I find I don't tend to focus on the negative.
I would be I would be unfortunately more of the negative. I would say that while I do enjoy finding those moments both in the writing of it and in the rewriting of it, or say the rereading of it, I tend to be far more down on it. And I think that it goes back to the idea that we are looking for moments in a soup, or in there's the meat moment and there's the vegetable moments, and the vegetables get you to the meat. You enjoy certain phrases, you enjoy certain moments. Some of them can be the kind of the hero getting the one up, the reveal of something that you've been planning for a long time.
Yeah.
And that conversation I mentioned from Quadranazi, that is a reveal from that will ultimately sit halfway through one of the novels. You're going to be all around 200 pages in before you get that moment. So you'll have existed with these characters even further for all that. So you're talking about it being like I think clearly like a million words before you're getting to that point of having that reveal. And there is a sense of, well, quantity doesn't necessarily matter. There is and it should be more quality than quantity.
Mm-hmm.
There is a rewarding aspect, or so you want to reward, you want to give that reader who has been with you for this length of time that when you get to your culmination moment, you want it to make sense. You want it to be, and if you feel that moment has delivered, then you're not delivering it for yourself. You're delivering it for, and we've done before the idea of building the perfect reader.
Yeah.
And while I wouldn't say I have the perfect reader in mind, I do have a wish to ensure that their time isn't wasted.
Oh yeah.
And so every time I find a edit, especially if it's glaringly bad, and I have failed that fictional person, that fictional problems person.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of natural and common to kind of look at a piece of work that you do, whether it's writing or anything, kind of go, well, could I do better next time?
Yeah.
Or could I do better again? If I was to go at it again, could I now a bit more experience in this task, whatever it happens to be? You go, yeah, I could approach that a different way. Like, whatever it happens to be, putting up a show.
Oh no, I agree. It's a dangerous statement to make.
perfection is always elusive and imperfect.
What's the line? Don't let the great be the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
Or the film of the good. And well, the other line about art is never finished, it's only abandoned. I absolutely, I could go back, like, the way I've structured Parliament of Crow is I basically write, for the second book, I wrote 5 novellas inside one book. And if I was rewriting it today, I would just release them as 5 different books. They're novella length. They're massively long.
Yeah.
That's divide that into 600 pages.
Well, that's what I mean. That's kind of the point I'm making is if someone listens to this and interested in editing, there has to be a point where you stop.
Yes.
The best thing about editing is that it stops at some point.
That's the problem. Is that, like, the typo exists in the email when it's in transit, I always know there's going to be a typo there, and that kills me.
Yeah.
I've gone through like this for time and again. This actually first book in the series. It's like 300 pages, which is 100,000 words, about 97,000 words. It is I've gone through it several times. I've listened to it several times. But I can't say that there isn't a there spelt wrong.
Sure.
I can't say that there isn't even when I found
veer is where
or grip or gripe, sacred or scarred, whip and wipe,
and especially with sci-fi and fantasy, where there's a lot of made up terms.
Sure,
autocorrect I found has auto-corrected to a word I didn't type. I'm like, that's not what. And as I'm typing, because if I'm in a flow and I'm going to type, and I was like, okay, wrap it up there after a while. I haven't noticed in the previous chapter or several previous chapters where autocorrect has changed it.
Oh well, yeah, I know. And I turned off Copilot. I turned off autocorrect, and I'll let it underline stuff for me. As this is grammatically correct. Yeah. I'll get back to it. I go, no, stop it. You're here. But yeah, it's
just a danger. And
absolutely. Especially because you're in the flow, you don't care in that moment that it's not. It may not be fully grammatically correct.
Yeah,
because you want to get in that moment the story matters more.
Yeah, the intention is always to get back to fix.
Yeah, and that's where the better you can do it in the moment, the better you can have the two tenets of it being written well and the story functions well. If you can have those to the same time, great. If you can't, you choose story over grammar, or you choose story over function, and then you get back to it.
If we were to dive right the way down to, we'll say, line editing,
right?
So just to be, we've been discussing this for a little while, but how often would you say that, say you write even a piece of dialogue, how often do you go back and even though it's the same thing, you say it in a different way, or you write it in a different way? Would that be something that happens quite often, or would you find that you would leave it if it's grammatically correct, it's given the information? Do you ever approach it like that? Because I know I sometimes do. I kind of say, is there a slightly, like you say, even better lyrical way to say this, or kind of a more impactful, or is there more juice I can squeeze out of this same line that's doing the same function and doing the same business and is actually grammatically correct and everything? Do you ever go down to that line and go, I'll rewrite that with a bit more oomph? And is that a danger?
I can't say that I've looked at a line and went, I want to write it with a bit more. I may read a line and go, here's the moral. When you're asking the question, the only thing that came to mind that I do actually do is if I have a character that in the writing of it, I found a different mode. Like, say, a great example is there is 3 protagonists in the first book. There's 3 protagonists in Quantum Advancing. The fourth the fourth is Allura. That essentially is she's a functional member of Theodore, the Thaddeus's chapter, That's the this chapter, and she essentially becomes an entity in her own right at the end of book 1. And she has, I think, 2 or 3 chapters in book 2, and in book 3 she has a few more, and in book 4 she'll have a few more again. So she's not one of the 3 primary, but she is so she evolved out essentially in the writing of it, and when I came to the end of book 1, went and gave her that freedom when I knew that she was going to be essentially untethered from Thaddeus' story. And I think it's admittedly her untethering was a function of Thaddeus' story that I needed essentially that those two to be broken up, or is it not broken up in a romantic sense? As in 2 people in the separated in a physically separated location. They're physically separated.
So if kids can't play together, we're gonna.
Or they are playing together, but they have to be in different locations to complete different goals.
Yeah.
Then I went back and went through every line that they had together.
Yeah.
That, because they clearly hate one another. And the reference I was making before about characters that hate one another, where are these 2 characters? That in book 1, they have been together for 1,000 years and they fucking hate one another. But it's the kind of dull hate that comes from, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I might snipe at you sometimes. But it really
stuck together.
Yeah, and it is finding the platonic love between these 2 that her essentially and her release. I can't break the spell, but I can extend it, so you can go so far away from it, or sorry, you can go like so. Spoilers. She was bound. She couldn't. She
was his familiar.
Yeah. So and she couldn't go more than I guess 7 leagues away from him. Or do it, but the one thing was he made the change that she couldn't once she had her powers back, she couldn't go more than 7 leagues away from one of her her I'm going to forget the word, her gaggle cats.
Yeah.
So she could teleport through her cats and bring people with her. So it means that wherever her cats go, she can go. Her clouder, I think it's clouder, yeah.
A clouder of cats. Is correct.
So
collective.
So it became a function of book 2, book 3, and there is a line in book 3 talking about a set of wizards who hunt down and kill cats.
Yeah.
Because they are aware that that's how Thaddeus teleports. That they don't know it's her that's doing the teleporting, but it's how that he travels because of cats.
Yeah.
So they hunt down and kill cats. So just like killing the familiars of the devil.
Yeah.
That so when a cat hides, when a cat sneaks out, wherever they are, she can tell you, man. Yeah, but that exactly it. And it does. So to your point, that it was finding finding and refining that relationship that happens in book 1 and book 2 primarily, because by book 3 they are it's a relationship that has it's like everything before, the idea of you don't have to have character development in every book.
Yeah,
every character doesn't have to develop. So having these 2 reach a plateau is useful, especially because you have all your characters moving around. You don't want to have so much movement that it
infuses the space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
no, I can see that as well. Like where, say, if I had an original kind of trajectory for a character like that, and then as I'm writing, I kind of go, well, actually, it might work if I just tweak this or tweak a relationship a certain way. Then I can go back and kind of foreshadow and plant seeds to marry up where I want to go. So I guess, again, like the Jenga block, if things at the top are kind of going off to the side, then you can kind of move the ones just underneath it and kind of straighten it all back up again.
Yeah.
That kind of line editing, like on a very kind of micro level, I think is effective. And that's nothing more, I suppose, than attention to detail in the process.
Sure.
Which is what editing ultimately is all about, is fastidious attention to detail.
Yes.
Which is the slog of it all.
Yeah. And I have 2 other finished works that I have to edit some point this year. And it's the idea, because
You're clearly looking forward to
because there's other things that I want to write, and again, it doesn't rob me of my love, but it does take something away from me. I want to do something else other than be at that computer.
Sure. So, final thoughts on editing. I think you've made yourself particularly.
Have I mentioned how much I hate it?
Okay. We will say that it is a vitally important part of the process.
Yes.
It is usually highly warranted, especially in my case.
Yes. Yeah.
It is something that is not only necessary; it's a necessary evil.
Sure.
To point. Yes, and it does require, like I said, an awful lot of attention to detail. Not only attention to the detail of what's on the page, but also for an editor. Like, it is a tough job for an editor, such as yourself. You take off the writing hat, put on the editing hat. It's a very tough job insofar as those moving pieces are like, so you're tweaking something or you're deciding to cut something, you're realizing the impact it has in all directions.
Yes.
So it's something that has to be, very seriously considered every step of the way until you have a serviceable, polished.
Serviceable, yes. Yeah. Until you're happy enough for it to be released into the world. And as soon as that happens, then it's not yours anymore. I'm going to use the analogy of raising a kid. It's because ask any parent, and they'll hate their kid at some point, mostly through the teenage years. But or just going, why are you this way? Because that is the same. Like you have crafted that narrative. Why are you this way? Why aren't you doing what I want you to do?
I made you. You should be
exactly.
Me. Yes, I love the analogy. I don't remember what show it was on, or perhaps it was a movie. But again, just when you said raising the kids, it just sprung to mind, and I just thought I'd share it. Insofar as the child is likened to the space mission, an Apollo mission,
right?
It's like at some point the child goes to the dark side of the moon.
Okay.
Communication is lost. No one knows what's going on. Anything could be happening. Sure. But eventually it comes around the other side of the moon. It comes back to Earth and comes back to the child. Back to the folks.
Sure.
In love. Anyway, just on that note.
Yes.
On that rather pleasant. Let's hope we all come back from the dark side of the moon in all our
yes, in all our ways, in all our activities.
Indeed. We're going to wrap it up here for today, and thanks for listening. Fictional Problems with myself, Harry J. Martin,
and A.R. McNevin. Keep watching the skies.
We are inside. I don't know what he's watching, but we're definitely going to have a look.
Bye.
Let's out to you. Bye.